Hello kids, so today we will start the next chapter, chapter number 8, and the name of the chapter is Human Health and the Disease. It is one of the interesting chapter and we have already studied some of the diseases in the earlier classes of 9th and 10th. So let's start with the chapter. As you know that the human health and the disease. So in the 9th standard you have discussed and know about that what is health. So according to us, that means when we are physically fit and we don't have any disease, that is in health. But in the olden days, the Hippocrates and Indian Ayurveda said that when your mind and your body is healthy, that means your body and your mind is with having a humor, that means you are totally physically fit or you are healthy. And in that day, in olden days, it was found that the black pile, that the disease, if a person having that black pile and in this disease patients had fever, she said that those who suffered from this kind of disease, they having a hot personality. But it was denied by the discovery of the blood circulation in the human body, which was given by the William Harvey, and he disapproved that theory of Hippocrates and Indian Ayurveda, that means state of mind and the body is the health. But according to the biology, if we say about according to the biology states that the mind influence with our body with the neural endocrine system. That means our mind is controlled, or it was done by or processed by the two of the things, that is the neural system and the endocrine system, and immune system maintain our health. So according to the biology, they said that the mind is influenced. That means our mind is influenced by all the secretion done by the endocrines and our neural systems, that is nervous and nervous system, and immune is controlled. Immune system in our body is maintain our health. So mind and mental state can affect our health. So all about this we can say, that means when a person is mentally, physically or socially well-being is known as a health or a healthy person. If our mind is healthy, if our physically we are healthy, and socially, that means we are having a good society, we have a good friend circle. So that means when we are having all these three options, that means you are physically fit, that means you are physically fit, mentally fit as well as socially fit, that means is known as a health. Now what factors affect the mental and the mind states? That means how our mind and mental state is affected. If our mind is affected somehow, many of the reasons, like first is the genetic disorder. If in our body have some deficiencies, which we have already discussed, the Mendelian disorders, chromosomal genetic disorders. So if a person having a genetic disorder, that means he having some syndromes, he having some deficiency, he having a hemophilic, maybe he having a sickle cell anemia. So that means if it is genetic disorder, that means in this cause, that means the mind and mental state of a person is affected. That means he was not healthy. On the other hand, infection. If someone get an infection, suppose if I got an infection like a allergy infection, cold and cough, okay, and conjunctivitis. So that is an infection. When we having an infection, that we get a disease from some other person who is in contact with us, by that infection is come through the air, water or the food. So that means the infection, if our body is infected, that means we are mentally and our mind is not fit. And third one is the lifestyle. What kind of lifestyle we are following or doing? We are properly having a food habit, whether we take a diet in a proper time, we are taking a balanced diet, we are taking green vegetables, fruits, we'll do the exercise, yoga or physical activities. So it depends upon our lifestyle also. If our lifestyle is worse, that means we are just sleeping late night and waking late, and then no physical exercise, and concentrating on the alcohol and other addictions, that means this kind of lifestyles will definitely affect the body. That means we are mentally unconscious, we are mentally not relaxed. So that means these three factors, genetic disorder, maybe you got a disease, or if your lifestyle is not in a proper way, that means these factors affect our health. So we say that the health is the physical, mental and social well-being. So if we are healthy, we are more efficient, we'll give 100%, our body will give 100%, and due to which we having a good production. If I'll do my job with full efficiency, that means my productivity is definitely up to the mark. And along with this, if you are physically fit, you are giving a good efforts and you are having a good efficiency, that means you are economically also prosper. So along with this, you are having a long lifespan, that means a longevity, and it also reduces the infant and mother mortality. So it affects a lot. That means health means it is connected to your body, your mind, and your social well-being. So how will we just maintain a good health? The first thing what we have to do is balanced diet. We should take a balanced diet. The balanced diet that carries all the important nutrients like carbohydrate, fats, proteins, minerals, vitamins, and water and fish too. So balanced diet should be taken. Personal hygiene, that means you should be clean your body properly, and exercise, yoga, that means all these things, regular exercise. If you don't do the exercise, do the cycling. If you do yoga, then well and good. Dancing is also an exercise. So any kind of exercise, yoga, or personal hygiene and balanced diet, it physically and mentally make you healthy. Second thing, awareness about the disease. Okay, how much aware you are around your disease, the disease which is occurring. Like nowadays there is a COVID-19 and everyone was scared of theirs, and the reason is that means there is a no vaccination and immunization is was found still now. That's why there is a great terror in the humans also, and the reason is that means this disease is communicate very easily, and it affect the small kids and the aged persons who have having an age more than the 60 plus. So that means we should be aware about the disease. If you know that means in our surrounding there is any disease like malaria is going on, some chicken pox is going on, we should be very aware, and we have to take some precaution. As you know, the item precaution is better than cure. So same thing is there. To avoid the COVID-19, we have to wash our hands properly. We should put a mask on our head, and whenever we are in contact with someone, we should use all the measures which are given, or the guidelines which is given by the government. Okay. Again, then the vaccination. Still, that means when the new baby is born, we know that there is a long chart of vaccination. They get a vaccination of smallpox, DPT, polio drops. That means lots of vaccination is given so that the children should be away from the disease, and the waste which we have in our surroundings should be disposed properly. Third thing is the control of vectors. Vectors like the disease which is caused by this mosquitoes, houseflies, like malaria, dengue, chikungunya. All this is caused by the mosquito, and the filial worm also like Vaichiria. All these are caused by the vectors. So if in our surrounding there is a vector, we should be very much careful, and we should maintain the hygiene. We should have a spray and all in our surrounding. Maintain a hygienic food. And the important thing that nowadays the students and the children love to eat a fast food like tikka, pizza, burger, momos, and all these are not very hygiene, because if it is prepared at home, then it is hygienic. But unless when you are just buying from market, or you are just eating from in a open stall, so it's not too much hygiene. Waste resources and the water resources. After that, the water resources, that means the water which we are taking in, it should be clean, and it should be disinfected. It should be add medicines in it. Now, how we come to know a person having a person is not fit, a person is affected by the disease? By seeing him. He is not energetic, he has a dull face, he is not responding, his face expression is not as much as energetic or light. So we come to know that means he is not feeling well. So that means suppose if you have a simple headache, so we are focused on the headache, that means we having a headache, we are not able to focus on the other work. We are not able to do our work, we are not able to write, we are not able to read. Okay, that means because of the headache, one part of your body is affected, that means it affects the whole body, even your whole working procedure. So if your organ is affected, it shows the sign and symptoms. Now what are the sign and symptoms? It means, suppose if I have a headache, so I am not able to answer properly, I am not attentive in the class, or I am not responding properly, my face expression is quite dull. So these are the symptoms, and not healthy and have a disease. So that means, by which we came to know, that means he is not feeling well or he has a disease. Now diseases are of two types. One is the infectious disease and second one is the non-infectious. Infectious disease means the disease which is communicate from one person to the another by the air, water or by the carrier. Okay, so that is known as communicable diseases. For example, AIDS, it is communicate from one person to another. On the other hand, the non-infectious diseases are those diseases which is not communicate by one person to another. If the person who is sitting with me having any disease of non-infection, that means it will not communicate to me, like cancer. Okay, so these are the two types of disease which we have categorized, infectious and non-infectious. Now we will discuss about the common diseases in the human being. As you know, that means many diseases which is occurred by the virus, bacteria, some helminthes, some protozoans and even some vectors and bacteria. Okay, and these many microbes which cause the disease in human bodies are called these organisms are called the pathogens. So all these like bacteria, virus, helminthes, fungus, protozoans, all these are the main 5 carriers, or these are the main 5 organisms which cause the disease in the human, that is known as pathogen. So all parasites are pathogen. Why? Parasites reside on the body of the other organism, that means on the host body, and it utilizes the host body. That means it interferes its life cycle, it interferes its processes, and it take benefit of that. Okay, so pathogen adapt. That means pathogens have an ability, when it is once it is entered in our body, it will have a capability to acclimatize with our body. It can be survived within the body. So with the environment of host like pathogen, one example is like if any pathogen which is entered in our body, it enter into the body, it stay in the stomach. That means in the stomach, how can it stay? Because in the stomach we know that there is a low pH, it is acidic, and there are lots of digestive juices. So that microbes have a capability to adapt and acclimatize itself in the stomach. Now we will discuss the pathogens. Now the pathogens are we are discussing here the 5 types of pathogens. First one is the bacteria, virus, helminthes, fungus and protozoan. So we have just discussed one by one. First one is the pathogen. So first pathogen is bacteria. As we know that the bacteria, will take an example of typhoid. It is caused by the bacteria, and the name of the bacteria which causes this disease is Salmonella typhi. Okay, and it affects the small intestine. Okay, so typhoid, it is caused. Now what is the reason? That means it was found that the Mary Malone, who just a cook, who cooked the food, and he got a disease of typhoid, and he was a carrier. That means he was a cook, he prepared the food, and by this contaminated food, that other persons also cause the same disease. So Mary Malone, or is also known as typhoid Malone, who was a carrier of this disease and spread the disease in that locality. Okay, so it is caused by the contaminated food and water. So that means if the food is contaminated with the Salmonella typhi bacteria, that means affect the other persons also. What are the symptoms? That means a high fever of 39 to 40 degrees Celsius, weakness, constipation, loss of appetite, you not feel hungry, headache, and even if it is severe in the sense when the typhoid is regular, you are having a regular fever, that means at last there is an intestinal, because it attacked your small intestine, so it perforates your intestine. It makes a small holes in the intestine. It causes the death also. So it becomes severe also. And we can test it by the Vidal test. So whenever you go to the pathology and you have a fever, so the doctors do the malarial test and the Vidal test. Okay, so that is a Vidal test. Second bacterial infection is the pneumonia. You all know about this. It is a respiratory disease. So it is caused by the Streptococcus pneumonia and the Haemophilus influenza. These are the two bacteria which causes the pneumonia. Along with this, dysentery, plague and diphtheria also a bacterial disease. Now what happened in the pneumonia? You know that in the lungs there is a small balloon-like structure which is known as alveoli. Okay, and this alveoli, it's an air sac-like structure. Now what happens if a person is suffering from pneumonia air-filled sac is filled with the fluid. Some kind of fluid is present in the air sac structures, and due to this, its capacity of inhaling air, inhaling oxygen is get reduced, because it is that balloon-like structure or alveoli is filled with some fluid. Okay, so you have a fever, high chilled fever, then cough, headache, sore throat, even you're having the little lips and your nails are getting little bit grey when you're having a severe pneumonia, and it is transferred from the droplets. That means if I am having a disease of pneumonia, so I should be keep isolated, so then my droplets and the aerosols will not be transferred to the other. So it should be very much isolated, and utensils and other things are not shared with the patients. And dysentery, plague, diphtheria, these three also are bacterial disease. As you know, dysentery means loss of watery feces from the body. Plague, it is caused by the rodents and the mice also, and it is also infect our respiratory tract. And the diphtheria is also the same. We having a vaccination also, that also cause inflammation in the respiratory tract, and it affect the respiratory linings. Next is the virus. As COVID-19, all of you know, that is also a virus. So virus, we know that means there is a debate between whether the virus is a live or dead thing. So it always remained a debate. So here we will discuss the common cold, which is caused by the rhinovirus, and what happened in the cold. We having a headache, we having a sore throat, coughing, and respiratory passage gets sore. Okay. Hoarseness, and within the 3 to 7 days after that it can be settled down. So now how it is communicated? It is communicated, or it is sent to the other person by the droplet. If I am sneezing, if I am just coughing, and my water droplet is fall out, and if someone is using that pen, desk, book, and that person is come in contact with that droplets, then it also suffer from the same disease. So common cold is you know that if a person in your class having a common cold, out of one person you will find within the 1 week 5 to 8 students also get infected. So that is also communicated by the droplets. Next is the helminthes. Helminthes are the ascaris. You have heard about it in the 9th and studied about it. The ascaris is a round worm, and Vaucheria is a filarial worm. So ascaris also affect the intestinal parasites. It's known as an intestinal parasite. It affects the intestine, and it causes the ascariasis disease. Now what happens? That means when it causes the disease, so there should be the internal bleeding, muscular pains, fever, and even the blockage of intestinal passage. That means it affects the internal bleeding of your intestine, and the eggs of the ascaris will be just excreted out from the infected person. If I am having a ascariasis disease, so with the egg of that ascaris is just excreted out from the infected person's fecus, and that fecus when come in contact with the water, soil, and the plants, it affects the rest of the organism which is surviving around it. Second one is the filarial worm, that is known as Vaucheria. The Vaucheria bancrofti and Vaucheria malae, a chronic inflammation of organs called the lymphatic vessel, lower limb of the body, and it causes a huge swelling of the limbs, lower limbs or hind limbs you can say, and that is known as elephantiasis or filariasis, and that is also affect your genital organs too. The pathogen transferred to the healthy person by biting of a female mosquito. So here is the carrier. That means if I am infected by the elephantiasis, and if mosquito bite me, like Anopheles mosquito, female mosquito, that is a vector. It will be, and that will be transferred to the healthy person. So in this way it is get communicated. Next one is the fungus. So fungus like a microsporidium, trichophytons, and epidermophytons. These are some of the fungus which causes a ringworm, like in Hindi we call the daat khaj and daat khaj, khujli and all. So that is also caused by the fungus. Okay, and the scaly, there is a lesions, and you will find the scalps also, and body parts and skin, scalps also. And the interesting thing is that due to the heat, because nowadays there is a heat and the moisture too, so it helps the fungus to easily grow. As you know, in the bread nowadays, when there is a more humidity and heat, on bread the fungus can easily grow. So that means the glands where we having a folds like armpits, we having a between the toes there is a folds or glands in which easily this fungus can grow. You will find some patches and whitish appearance in it. Now next one is the protozoan. So in protozoan we will discuss this. Okay, so in protozoans we are having a malaria. All of you know about the malaria. Malaria is caused by the protozoan, and protozoa is a similar tiny object, okay, tiny microbes, and plasmodium protozoans. That means malaria is caused by the plasmodium protozoans. Many of you have believed that the malaria is caused by the bacteria, but malaria is caused by the mosquito. But mosquito is only the carrier or vector here. Okay, so malaria is caused by basically from the protozoa known as the plasmodium. Its species are Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium falciparum, and Plasmodium malaria. But most of this, the severe one is the Plasmodium falciparum, which causes the malignant malaria. Now what happened to this? This Plasmodium or protozoans, which is found in the waste and all, when these plasmodiums enter into the human body through the sporozoite, that means the plasmodium is occur in the form of what we call sporozoites. So when it enters into the body in the infected form, that is known as the sporozoites. Okay, so these are the sporozoites. So this sporozoites of the plasmodium will enter into the inner body by the infected form through the bite of the Anopheles mosquito. So when Anopheles mosquitoes, because it is entering into the Anopheles mosquito, so Anopheles mosquitoes bite us, so that is plasmodium enter in our body, and after that it will first enter into the liver cell, and then it will attack to the RBC, red blood cells, and it start rupturing the red blood cells. Rupturing of red blood cells release a toxic called the hemozoin, and due to the hemozoins there is a chill fever. Then at that time we having a high chill fever, because in the malaria we having a high fever with the chill. So 3 to 4 days we have this fever. When the female mosquito, after that they will start doing this. When the female mosquito bite the infected person, these parasites, that means this is already entered into the body, and this parasite which is in the form of sporocyte, it start forming and develop. It will start growing. When it start growing, it forms a gametocytes, the female and male gametocytes, and is increased in numbers and forms a male and female gametes and forms a gametocytes, and it is enter into the body. And these parasites enter into the mosquito and develop. So once it is entered into the, when it forms the gametocytes, it is again taken by the infected mosquito, and that enter into the mosquito and develop, and after developing again it forms the sporozoites, and it is stored in the salivary gland of that mosquito. When this salivary gland, that means how the sporozoite, because gametocyte is formed within the human body, and these gametocytes do the further development in the mosquito body, and they forms the fertilization, and again they form the sporozoite, and it forms the sporozoites and stored in the salivary gland